So students, we will continue discussing megasporogenesis, what we have learnt in last class. Oh, mic is stuck somewhere, yeah. So we were learning megasporogenesis in last class. What was that? Do you remember? There were 4 megaspores. 4 megaspores were produced. And out of 4 megaspores, 3 will disintegrate. 3 will get disintegrated. Means those 3 megaspores will become smaller and finally disappears. So that is what we call disintegration. So 3 megaspores will disintegrate and only 1 remains. Only 1 remains. See, you can see arrow mark. Only this megaspore remains. These 3 will disappear. What happens to this megaspore? So 1 megaspore. Now this megaspore is called functional megaspore. Functional megaspore. Functional means it is working. The 1 megaspore remaining here, that will produce a embryo sac. This is what we have learnt in last class. So this type of development of embryo sac from one single megaspore or from one functional megaspore is called monosporic development. Do you remember? Monosporic development. Name only says. Mono means one. Monospore means single spore. One single spore produces embryo sac. So this type of formation or development of embryo sac from one single megaspore is called monosporic development. Meaning of this word is development of embryo sac by single megaspore. Now, what happens to this single megaspore? Now let us see what happens. The single megaspore, what is there? This is a single megaspore. This is a single megaspore, what was remaining here, and this is the nucleus of that. Now, cell doesn't divide, only nucleus will divide. Only nuclear division. What happened there? But cell elongates, size of the cell increases. This was a small cell, now it will be slightly bigger cell, you see. The size of the cell increased. See, this is a size and now it has grown this much. So size increased, but one nuclei divides into 2 nuclei. You can clearly see the difference there. Cell is one only. Here also one cell, here also one cell, but here one nucleus, here 2 nuclei, because only nucleus divides into 2, but entire cell doesn't divide. Then what happened? Same, nuclear division continues. Nuclear division continues. Okay, here 2 nuclei are there, but one cell. Then cell again elongates. Cell size increases. You see, it was small cell, now it is large cell, now it is very large cell. Then what happened? Nuclei, 2 nuclei will become 4. How many nuclei? You can see 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 nuclei produced. Cell is only one. The next cell will elongate. Again, small cell became very big cell now. Elongation of cell happened. Then 4 nuclei will divide and become 8 nuclei. So you see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So now one cell contains 8 nuclei. So it is 8 nuclei are there. Later what happens? Now how many cells are there here? Cell is only one. How many nuclei? 8 nuclei. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. One cell, but 8 nuclei. Now next what happens? Next what happens? Slowly some cells will get outer cell wall. New cell wall will be produced. How? We will see. 8 nuclei are there. Out of this 8 nuclei, 3 nuclei out of 8 will go to one corner. See, out of 8, 3 nuclei will come to one corner. How many remained? Out of 8, 3 went up. Out of this 8, 3 went up, and 3 will come down here. Three on one side on the top, 3 at the lower side. How many remain? 3 plus 3, 6. 2 remain now. 2 will remain in the center. Okay, now what will happen? Nuclear division is over. Only nucleus divided. So where one nucleus was there here, now it became 8 nuclei, and the nuclei got oriented towards the poles. You see, nucleus, 3 nuclei went here, 3 nuclei is on at the lower side, then 2 nuclei remained in the center. 3 upper side, 3 lower side, and 2 remained in the center. Totally 8. Now what will happen? Slowly, new cell wall will be produced like this. See, this is one cell wall produced. Now tell me how many cells are there. This is one big cell, then this is one small cell. So this is cell number 1, this is cell number 2. Okay, why? Because new cell wall formed here. Cell wall formation happened. Cell wall formation means one nuclei is there. Slowly nuclei will be surrounded by new cell wall. Then it becomes one cell. When we can call something as cell? When it has a cell wall, then inside there is a nucleus. So your nuclei is already there. Nucleus is already there. Then slowly one more cell around the nucleus, it forms one more cell wall. Now how many cells? One big cell, then this is second cell, and this is third cell. Then the one nuclei remaining here, that also will develop a new cell wall. Then it became fourth cell. Then here also same thing will happen. Here also new cell wall is produced, covers the nucleus. New cell wall covers the nucleus and became fifth cell. Then slowly new cell wall is produced on this nuclei also, and it became sixth cell. Then new cell wall will be produced on this nucleus and became seventh cell. Then, but what happens? These two nuclei will not get surrounded by cell wall. No cell wall formed. So how many cells will be there? Now count. Cell number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one big cell. Don't forget that. This is one big cell. Okay, totally 7 cells are there. So embryo sac is now 7-celled embryo sac. So this big, what is produced is embryo sac, which is a central part of the ovule, what we have learnt, no? So how many cells are there? Count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and one big cell. Totally 7 cells. So 7-celled. How many nuclei are there? Count. This dots, what you see, this is nuclei. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 7-celled, 8 nucleate embryo sac is produced. How many cells? 7 cells, but 8 nuclei. Why? Because these two nuclei are not surrounded by any new cell wall. New cell wall is not formed. It remains as a nuclei. So what are these 3 cells are called now? These 3 newly produced cells are called antipodal cells. You know this. And here central one, this is an egg. Egg or ovum. Then on 2 sides of the egg, this is an egg in the center. So this is egg in the center, and 2 sides, these 2 cells are called synergids. You already know this. And these 2 cells are called synergids. And one new finger-like structure will be produced here on the synergids. New finger-like structure will be produced like this. It's like how, you know, egg is here in the center, then 2 cells are surrounding it. The central one is egg, and these 2 are synergids. Some finger-like structures will be produced like this. That finger-like structure is called filiform apparatus. What is the function of filiform apparatus? Very simple. When pollen tube tries to enter the ovule through a hole called micropyle, you know this. See, do you remember? This is an ovule structure. These are 3 antipodal cells, 2 pollen nuclei, 1 egg and 2 synergids. Filiform apparatus is here, finger-like structure. When pollen tube tries to enter, this is a pollen tube, tries to enter, then the pollen tube has to enter through filiform apparatus. That finger-like structure, what is there? Through that pollen tube will enter, then the pollen tube will go to synergids, then it comes to egg. Not directly. Pollen tube directly doesn't meet the egg. So it has to, pollen tube has to go through filiform apparatus, then from filiform apparatus it goes to synergids, then it meets the egg. Are you understanding what I am saying? So pollen tube, what is there? First directly it cannot meet the egg. Pollen tube comes here, then it goes to filiform apparatus, then synergid, then it comes to egg. So what is the function of these 2 cells then? This is egg. What are these 2 cells? Called synergids. What is the function of synergid? Synergids are cells which are helpful for penetration of or meeting of pollen tube with the egg. They are like helpers. Like you think this egg is like a queen and these 2 are like a servants of queen. So if pollen tube has to meet the egg, then synergids will facilitate it. Facilitate means synergids will make it possible. So synergids will help for meeting of pollen tube and egg. If pollen tube like this is a pollen tube, if it should meet the egg, then synergids are helpful because directly it cannot meet the egg. Pollen tube will first go into the filiform apparatus, then it comes to synergid, then it enters egg. Not directly, from the sides. First pollen tube should enter filiform apparatus, which is there in the synergid, then it will meet the egg, crossway. So the function of filiform apparatus and synergid cells is it helps egg to meet pollen tube. So it helps for entry of pollen tube into the egg. So this is a case. Okay, so in our we'll continue. So how many? The embryo sac is defined as 7-celled and 8-nucleate embryo sac because already I told you 7 cells will be there but 8 nuclei will be there. So if you remember, beginning of the chapter we have learned that there are 3 events in sexual reproduction, means 3 stages. The first stage is what happens before fertilization. Fertilization means what? Union of male and female gametes. What is male gamete? Male gamete in plants is 2 nuclei present in the pollen grain. What are those 2 nuclei? Vegetative nuclei and generative nuclei. Those 2 are gametes. So those 2 nuclei are present inside the pollen grain. So pollen grain is a gamete containing structure, so it is called male gametophyte. You know, already you have learnt it. Then, so fertilization means union of male and female gametes. So before fertilization, first gamete should be produced. This is I think 10th time we are discussing this. First gamete should be produced. So under pre-fertilization, like we have discussed, 2 events. First one is gametogenesis, that is formation of gametes, where male gamete is produced inside the pollen grain or microspore, female gamete is produced inside the embryo sac. Once gametes are formed, it has to be transferred, so it is called gamete transfer. So we have already learned this gametogenesis. Now next we have to learn gamete transfer, because male has produced pollen grain, female has produced egg. How pollen grain meets the egg? Because next fertilization should happen, where pollen grain has to meet the egg. How it will happen? That is by gamete transfer. So next we have to learn about gamete transfer. plant's gamete transfer is by pollination, you know. Pollination means transfer of pollen grains from anther to stigma. Like if you remember, this is a structure. This is androecium, or also called stamen, and this is an anther, you know, and this is a filament. Together this whole part is a stamen or androecium, you know. So inside the anther, pollen grains will be produced. Then female reproductive part is gynoecium or pistil, you know. This is ovary, style, stigma. This is nothing but gynoecium, also called pistil. Now pollination means the pollen grains, what is that? Dust like small particles. It has to be transferred from anther to stigma. Pollen grains should be transferred from anther to stigma. Why pollen grain should be transferred? Because pollen grain is a male gametophyte. Inside the pollen grain there will be male gametes. Okay, so if you remember, this is a pollen grain structure where it has two cells. This is the outer layer is called exine, do you remember? Inner layer is called intine, and the large cell is called vegetative cell, and smaller cell is called generative cell. Now the nuclei of vegetative cell is called vegetative nuclei, and nuclei of generative cell is generative nuclei. These two are gametes. So gamete transfer means male gametes should be transferred to female gamete. So that is why pollen grain contains male gametes. That's why pollen grains from the anther, it will be transferred to stigma. So this process is nothing but pollination. Okay, there are three types of pollination which we have already learnt in last class. Once again we can recall. There are three types of pollination. Number one, autogamy, meaning self-pollination. Already we have learnt this. Then second, geitonogamy, and third, xenogamy, that is nothing but cross pollination. What is autogamy? Auto means self. Self pollination means pollen grains of same flower falls on stigma of the same flower. So transfer of pollen grain from the same flower to stigma of the same flower. Like, see, suppose this is a flower A, where pollen grains of flower A will fall on stigma of flower A only. So pollen grains of the same flower falls on stigma of the same flower, then it is self-pollination. Okay, so that means pollination occurs within one single flower, because this flower will be bisexual flower, because means one flower contains both male and female reproductive organs. Even stamen is also present, stigma is also present on the same flower, means androecium is also present, gynoecium is also present on the same flower. Like for example, if you take hibiscus flower where ovary, style, stigma is present, then on the sides there will be androecium also. See, the flower has both. It has both the male and female reproductive part. See, these are the stamens, nothing but androecium, and this is a gynoecium. So single flower has both male and female reproductive organs. What happens? The pollen grains, once it is released, it will fall on the stigma there only. So pollen grains of the same flower falls on stigma of the same flower, then it is called self-pollination. Directly I am saying it is pollination occurs within the same flower, then it is called self-pollination. But chances of self-pollination is very rare, like we have discussed in our last class. Why chances of self-pollination is rare? Let us see. So first we will learn autogamy, then we will go to other types. Why it is very rare? Very rare means in very less number of plants, pollen grains of the same flower will fall on the stigma of the same flower. Why only less number of plants will have self-pollination? Because some conditions are required for self-pollination. What is that condition? That is pollen release, that is anther should break open and pollen grain should be released. That process is called pollen release. Pollen release and stigma receptivity should occur at the same time. Meaning, once anther release pollen grains, at the same time stigma should be ready to receive the pollen grains. Indirectly they are saying maturation of anther and stigma should happen at the same time. Like I gave you example in last class. What happens if anther matures first but stigma is still young? Young stigma doesn't produce a chemical, okay, so that it can support the pollen grains. What happened? Suppose stigma is still young but anther is mature. Then what happens? Mature anther produces pollen grains. The pollen grains will fall on young stigma. Then young stigma cannot develop pollen tube, because stigma, once it is mature, it produces a chemical. That chemical helps pollen grains to produce a pollen tube. But young stigma cannot produce a chemical, so that this is like how, I gave example of Vamshit in last class, where suppose human male, suppose he is just 10 years old. He is young, he is not mature. But the female is already 30 years old. Now if you think of marriage between them, female is mature, she is aged, but male is still very young, just 10 years old. It is like that only. Now anther is very young, stigma is mature, or else reverse, stigma is young and anther is mature. In both the cases, self-pollination doesn't occur because the pollen release and stigma receptivity means the capacity of the stigma to receive the pollen grain and support the pollen grain to produce a pollen tube. What exactly happens there? Suppose this is a stigma. This is stigma. Okay, stigma, once it is mature, it produces a chemical, and that chemical is required for pollen grain to produce a pollen tube. But young stigma doesn't produce a chemical. Then what happens? If mature pollen grain falls on it, pollen grain cannot develop a pollen tube. Why? Because young stigma cannot produce a chemical. When chemical is not produced, pollen grain doesn't germinate. Doesn't germinate means pollen grain cannot produce a pollen tube. That means young stigma cannot support the pollen grain. Okay, what about reverse case, where stigma is mature and starting to produce chemicals, but anther is still young? Then young anther doesn't release pollen grains, and young anther will contain pollen grains inside only. Dehiscence doesn't happen. If dehiscence happens, only then pollen grains are released. So stigma is mature but pollen grains are not there because anther is still young. So when self-pollination can happen? When anther and stigma both will mature. Androecium and gynoecium both will mature at the same time, and release of pollen grains from the anther and stigma, which is ready for receiving the pollen grain, should happen at the same time. That is called synchronization. synchronization is at the same time. Pollen release at the same time, and at the same time stigma should be ready to receive the pollen grain. Only then self-pollination occurs. That is why in very less number of plants, stigma and anther will mature at the same time. In remaining plants, what happens? When anther is mature, stigma is young. When stigma is mature, anther is young. Then self-pollination doesn't occur. Self-pollination can occur only when anther is also mature and also pollen grains are mature. Both are, androecium and gynoecium, both are mature at the same time. Then only self-pollination can occur. That is why I said chances of autogamy or self-pollination is very rare. Okay, so remaining types of pollination we will learn in next class. Okay, so keep watching my classes. Thank you.